Oh, hey, Ro. I'm just gonna call you Rebecca. Today we're gonna. I don't know why this thing is listed under Roblox. Never listed under Roblox. My chat reader isn't working. Hold up. Let me do something real quick, stream. I know a lot is going. Wait, no. Don't exit out of that bullshit. Oh my gosh. What am I doing? Hold up, stream. Just to alarm everyone that I'm streaming right now. No, I'm not 16. I'm 12. No, 13. Why'd I say 12? Hey, yo, you guys saw some personal information. Man, I didn't have my password. You'll need... Bruh, I need that to accept payments. Bruh. So someone don't... Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know you're on Roblox. First, I'm gonna watch scary stuff, bro. We're gonna watch some scary stuff on YouTube. Hey, yo. Why is he such a daddy, Apex? I don't get this at all. So sorry, you guys. Now get that out of the way. I don't like you. Yeah. Yeah, close that tab. YouTube. Getting rickrolled by an ad. I'm not watching that. Let's...
Time to game. Why do you not like me?
I never said I didn't like you.
This is an incident I remember from the days when I was a cop in the local district. I have told and recalled this many times to my friends and family, for they find it amusing that this even occurred. They were disappointed that I left my cause to this fable of a story.
Make sure to get your snacks.
My
I
own
already have
family
mine.
refused to believe me, but it became the occasional spooky story to my friends and family at reunions or camping days.
For this story to make sense, I'm going to give you some background. About a decade or half a decade ago, there was this political group called Muslim Brotherhood.
Yes, you did.
They are made of Islamists, so you are thinking long beard and very religious views, almost extreme religious views. So a coup disguised as a revolution took place, and the guy who led it marked them as terrorists to remove any major political parties that can stand in his way. That means if you had a long beard, you were probably hunted, imprisoned, killed, tortured, or...
This happened in the summer of 2009. I was an officer for 2 years then, and I was doing pretty good at my job. Life was going great, and my girlfriend had proposed to me on the same day that I was going to. It was phenomenal, to say the least. But then, all that unfolded on that night would haunt me forever.
Time to game.
It was May
Disappointed
2009,
I'm sorry.
and me
It was
and
an
my new
accident.
partner, who I will address as Bob, were patrolling the Redwood Street when we heard from dispatch that there was a domestic violence distress from the nearby area that we were in. It was a chance to show the rookie how the pros did it, so I took it up and decided to check it out. As we drove to the house, I could see the houses on the street were quiet, almost abandoned. It looked like nobody lived in this area, but I didn't pay much attention to it. I parked the car in the front of the destination, the house where we had gotten the call from. It looked to be a very simple house with 2 floors. I opened the door and walked out of the car as Bob followed behind me.
Time to game.
I walked up the
Okay.
steps to the porch and instantly saw that the door was a bit
Time
open.
to game. I
I
forgive
took my
you.
gun out and signaled Bob to arm himself. I decided that it would have been a bad idea to enter from the front, so I went out the back
Robida
to see the
Alexandrul.
back door was
I
open
like
too.
you.
I and Rookie followed inside quietly. And all of a sudden, Bob yelled to check if there was someone inside. The rookie move, I know. I smacked him in the head when he did that, but it seemed like we were all alone in the house.
Thanks, I guess.
The hall was simple. A carpet laid in the center and a few sofas surrounding it. There wasn't much detail to the entire hall, other than it was totally generic. I decided to go up the stairs and Bob followed, armed. As I reached the end, I saw 3 rooms in the little hallway, all open. We went inside. The room was fairly lit, notes scribbled all over the wall, with ideas for stories and a manuscript on the table. I assumed that this house, or rather this room, was home to a budding writer, and it seemed like it. Bob looked around the room as I picked up the manuscript and started to read it. It was about a
Hold up,
lady
you guys, let
from
me
the
mute
Victorian
myself.
times
I'm
who was killed
probably
brutally.
loud right now.
I mean, that's what the manuscript said. While I read the short manuscript, Bob had wandered off to the second room, the one adjacent to the one I was in. He opened it up and then called me. I kept the
Robida
manuscript down and
Alexandrul.
went to him.
Are you my mom?
eyes fell on the room as I was weirded out. The room looked to be from the Victorian era. Maybe the writer was creating a role play for that story. I didn't know. I went inside anyway, and it was convincing. The props, if they were, but it almost looked like the furniture was really from the Victorian times, preserved maybe. Nonetheless, I went out of the room to check the last room that was closed. I opened it up as Bob took his gun out, preparing for the worst. We couldn't take any risk, after all. We were in an unknown house. The door opened, and we could only see darkness. The room was broken. The darkness engulfed it. There were no lights in the bulb sockets. It seemed like there was no power either in the room. It was just utterly broken. Maybe it was being remade. Bob and I checked out the room and found nothing odd. Just a couple of paint buckets and brushes. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Need a way to make more money? Well, here at Finance Buzz, we have ways for you to earn extra cash. Did you know starting a side hustle?
We closed the door behind us as we went out of the room. I went into the first room only to see that something had changed. There was a Polaroid camera on the bed. Was this camera here before, Bob? I said, as I looked back at Bob, as I might have missed a detail or two in the room. But he shook his head in a not knowing manner. I looked at the Polaroid, and as I picked it up, it started to work. The noise of a picture printing out. As it soon did, the picture fell on the bed, as I didn't grab it in time. Bob picked it up, and as he looked at it, the horror on his face was visible. He was terrified. I asked him why he seemed to be so scared. He gave the picture to me, and as I looked upon it, I too froze in fear. It was a picture of us getting out from the cruiser, taken from the window of this room. I was terrified. How could this happen? There was no one in the house to take this picture of us arriving. Nonetheless, in the time I thought about it, the camera printed another picture. This time, it was of me and Bob in the Victorian-styled room, but it was angled from the wall. You could see the spiral stairs behind and the hallway, but that's not what froze me in fear. When I looked at the corner of the picture, I could see a shadow crouched down in the corner of the small hallway behind the door, peeking at us. It was getting harder to breathe, and I showed Bob the picture. He was in another expression. Terrified was an understatement. The camera printed out another picture in the meantime. This time, it was of us being in the darkroom. I could see us both exploring the room in the dark, as there was a figure in the corner. It was a woman, dressed in Victorian-era clothes. I froze. As I looked at her expression, the inhumane grin spread right through her cheeks. It was animalistic, but how didn't we notice it? The camera printed another picture. This time it was the third room's door opening and the hag of a lady walking out. As the camera finished printing this, we heard the door open and made the run. We didn't look back. We just ran with all the power we had. I opened the car's door and sat in as Bob closed his door. I started the car and threw the camera in the back as he sped out of the block. Apparently it was around 11 when we had reached the quarters, and Bob was trying to gain his composure back. What we saw in that house was not of this world. That lady, and the inhumane grin on her face gave me chills as I thought about it. But we had left the pictures behind, so we had no proof about that. Only the camera that I kept on my desk. Bob left the quarters as he got his stuff to go back to his house. He was scared, and I was too. But as I got ready to leave, the camera curled a bit as it printed the last picture it would ever print. And that's the thing I don't tell anyone. That detail that I kept hidden from everyone about this incident is the last picture it printed, showed me and Bob in the car as we sped away from the house, and the same lady in the back seat grinning inhumanely as she looked ahead. Things were fucked from the beginning. A woman named Carol dials
Robina
911
Alexandrul.
and claims
Fearful
that somebody's
face, fearful
inside
face,
her
fearful
house.
face, fearful face,
We go
fearful face,
investigate,
fearful face.
searching the place inch by inch, but find nothing. Usually, this could be easily explained away. The mind of an older person living alone eventually starts deteriorating. The onset of dementia and other mental issues start to take a toll on their lives. Quite sad, really. However, this woman is only 24. In other words, the probability of this all being inside her head is extremely unlikely. She also seemed to be terribly distraught by this whole situation. Why would she be acting? We leave her place and tell her to contact us if she sees anything again. I mean, we couldn't really do anything at that point. We were somewhat surprised when we got another call from her the very next day. We drove down there and searched the house again. We find nothing. Again. Problem is, the house seems different this time. Almost as if there were some subtle detail that made it a separate place from the one we were in yesterday. My partner, Beck, says that he noticed it as well, but doesn't quite understand what's wrong. We decide not to say anything about this as we tell Carol that we came up with nothing. However, she tells us to stay.
Hi.
I recorded him, she says. She takes out her phone and tells us to watch the video that she's pulled up. It was footage of her in the house.
Hey, Salty,
She's running around, breathing frantic. And then we see him. A large figure, covered head to toe in what appears to be a black bodysuit. He lumbers towards the camera as Carol screams and ducks into a room, locking it from the inside. There's a few bangs on the door before we can hear footsteps walking away. We don't know how to react to this footage, but we try anyways. We come to the conclusion that the man must have left once Carol got behind the door. However, the front door was locked when we came, and Carol told us that she hadn't left the room. Did he also have keys to her house? That would explain a lot, but it also made the situation a lot worse. We decide to keep an eye on her house for the night. We're discreet, parking about a block down the road in my unmarked car. We're both fully awake, ready to go as soon as we see some sketchy shit. At around 2 a.m., we see somebody walking across the road towards her house. However, it isn't the man. It's Carol herself. Beck and I must have had the same look on our faces. What the fuck? We get out of the car and make our way over there, knocking hard on the front door. However, nobody answers. We can see lights flickering on and off intermittently, but we're not sure what that's supposed to mean. Was she trying to tell us to leave? We get a call from dispatch a few moments later. They're telling us that Carol has called 911 again, saying that there are now multiple people in her house. They ask if we need backup. We say yes. Without another moment of hesitation, we force the door open and barge in. The living room lights still flicker on and off, but we see the light switch and nobody is touching it. We call out for Carol, but nobody responds. In fact, the whole place is dead quiet. I can see the neighboring houses starting to turn on their lights from the commotion. We rush up the stairs and start sweeping each room, but there's nothing. Once again, we search the place inch by inch, but nothing is in here. Not even Carol, who we clearly saw enter a few moments earlier. As I pace around in petrified confusion, Beck speaks up. There's rooms here that shouldn't be. What the hell are you talking about? I ask in response. I've been counting, he says. There were 9 total the last time we came. There are 10 now. You didn't notice it. I forced myself to think hard. Subconsciously, I knew that something was off, but couldn't pinpoint exactly what. However, I eventually realized. The basement. There was only 1 door down there last time. Beck nods. 2 now.
This is how it feels to build websites the old-fashioned way. And this is how it feels to build websites with Duda, the website builder designed for professionals like you.
I don't know what to think. I look at my surroundings and try to make an assessment, but there's really none that can be made. We hear a knock on the door about 10 seconds later. It sounds agitated. We look out the living room windows, but aren't met with the red and blue police lights. We're hesitant to answer, of course. I decide to take a step forwards, but Beck pulls me back. He looks at me and shakes his head, whispering, "We left the door open. Remember?" He was right. My radio starts crackling. Another call from dispatch. They're telling us that we need to leave the house immediately, that Carol called again saying we were going to die in a deathly, monotone voice. The knocking has stopped, but we can hear footsteps in the basement. Something is in here with us. We decided that was enough. We needed to get the fuck out of there. As we start descending the steps, we hear a voice coming from the...
Hold on, I have a question. Why didn't they have any pistols to protect themselves? Like, what are these? Who are these people? Are these even actual police officers? Where are the weapons? What the hell is this? You know what I think about policemen without the things around their hips? I think of it as bullshit.
In the kitchen, Carol comes out, blocking our path to the door. She looks detached with blank, beady eyes staring right at us. Did you find him? She asks, without any semblance of emotion in her voice. I think he might be in the basement. Why don't you go check? Beck and I are frozen in shock. She just keeps looking at us, gesturing towards the basement door every now and then. The footsteps down there sound like they're running in circles now. We ignore her request, abruptly brushing past her and bolting out of the front door. The backup still isn't here, so we decide to just get into our car. However,
Get the fuck out of here!
Time to game, at TechnoLitJ. Just to say, when you get on Roblox I will be playing RHS/Roblox in high school.